Colin Christie. I am a partner and graphic designer, creative director at Neon Pig Creative.
Wonderful. And how long have you been here?
I have been here since January of 2018, which is actually when we started Neon Pig. So the agency's been around for about 3.5 years. First became interested in graphic design actually a few years after college. I really learned about what graphic design was as a profession. I have always been interested in art and artistic things, and little did I know I was really interested in graphic design even from an early age, probably like 5th grade. I was very interested in letter forms and typography and fonts and things like that. I didn't really know though that was graphic design really. So I've been interested in it for a long time, but when I really decided that what I wanted to be when I grew up was a graphic designer was when I was probably about 25 or 26 years old. So.
Great. And so what kind of training and or education did you first receive before you began?
That's a good question. My career path is very different from a lot of people who are working in the industry, because I didn't major in graphic design and I don't have any formal training in the field really. So a lot of my training was just by saying self-taught would probably be a bit of a stretch, because it's it's self-driven research that I did to kind of learn things. But I technically do not have a degree in graphic design or any other credentials necessarily. Other than that, it's just a lot of self-driven research and learning kind of on my own. I don't want to mislead people to say that that's common. I think most people will probably get either an associate's degree in graphic design or a bachelor's degree in graphic design or a BFA. Or have some type of certificate, and that I would say, for 90% of the people who are working professionally in Colorado Springs, I would say most all of them do have at least that credential. So that is typically the path that one would probably want to take if they were interested in graphic design and they knew that they wanted to pursue that. There's a lot of good programs here, and obviously across the country. So personality traits, I would say you have to be really curious. You have to be always open-minded to learning new things and constantly like a sponge of information, because one of my favorite things about graphic design is that if you work at an agency specifically, all of the different clients you get to work with all come from different agencies and different fields, and so you get to learn a little bit about a different agency. You could work with a roofing company one day, and then you could work with a restaurant the next day, and you could you get to learn a little bit about tons of different industries, and so you always got to be curious about kind of learning a little bit about that. So I would say being curious is definitely a great trait. I would say, you want to be somewhat creative, somewhat artistic, certainly at least have that passion. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be a skilled drawer or painter necessarily. I mean, if you are, then that is, that could definitely lead to some other opportunities, but you have to certainly be artistic and creative in a certain way. The typical starting salary, I would say, in Colorado Springs, because of course every market is different, for like an entry-level graphic designer, I would say probably would range between $32,000 and $40,000 a year. The potential for growth is pretty high, I would say. Not many graphic designers become millionaires, but there is definitely potential to earn a pretty comfortable, decent living. Certainly in the 60s, maybe up to 80,000, I would say. And this is like for this time and place in this city, that would probably be attainable, I would say. Yeah, so it's typically a very lively work environment, especially when we are all together in the office. We at Neon Pig, we have 6 people who work here, and if you work at a creative agency, you're always kind of talking with each other. You're always making jokes. A lot of times, it's a very lively, fun environment where people are joking, people are laughing a lot. A lot of times you have to be you have to know how to give honest feedback and take honest feedback, and not be afraid of like hurting people's feelings. It's just part of the profession is that you need to give critique and to try and make everybody better. And so that's another personality trait I would say as a graphic designer is you need to be able to accept criticism, and you need to be able to learn from that and not get your feelings hurt too bad. So during COVID, the work environment has been largely, most people have worked remotely, and so we've done a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that, which can be tough because we definitely do like all being together in the office because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to work with other creative people and do that. I mean, obviously I get to wear a pretty casual clothes to work every day, which is a benefit in my mind. I mean, you probably have heard this a bunch with your interviews, but there is no such thing as a typical day. But some of the typical things that I would maybe find myself doing are anything from like sketching logo concepts. We do a lot of logo design here at Neon Pig, so I could literally be sketching with a pen or pencil and paper logo concepts. I could be working in one of a number of programs on my computer: Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign are kind of the three main that I work in. Doing a lot of client meetings, which includes new business acquisition. If we have someone reach out to us that is maybe interested in getting a logo design or a website built, then we will meet with them, and that's a lot of several meetings during the week, whether it's new business acquisition or with a client we already have, and then meeting with them to sort of discuss the process and see where we're at. There's also internal meetings where we share our work and we get feedback and discuss how we can make it better and continually improve. And then so I could be designing any number of things. I could be designing a logo on the computer, or a brochure, or a magazine, or a website, and doing that. I would say that generally speaking, if you work as a graphic designer, you get to have a pretty fun job. You don't, if you don't own the agency, you don't oftentimes take work home with you. You usually get to have a pretty good work-life balance, and even as an owner, I feel like I have a pretty good work-life balance, but sometimes are more stressful than others. At Neon Pig, specific benefits, we do offer health insurance. We offer 2 weeks paid vacation every year. We also offer, kind of a flexible amount of sick days. We usually are pretty trusting of our employees to not take advantage of that, and so we're pretty flexible as far as that is concerned. We also have summer hours, which are going to be starting here in a couple weeks. So what we'll do for summer hours is we'll work an extra half hour Monday through Thursday, and then we'll take half of the day on Friday off, and that's always nice when the weather's nice to get out of here at noon and enjoy the weekend a little bit longer. And then, as I kind of was touching on it, a good benefit for me is that you get to basically wear a t-shirt to work every day, and I kind of like that casual work environment. So.
And then any of the challenges you were saying, maybe even as particularly as an owner, or any challenges that you've kind of faced as well? Sure.
Well, sometimes, clients don't always love the work the first time you present it, or maybe they'll never love it, and so sometimes you'd have to be disappointed sometimes with what you're delivering to clients. You're never going to please everybody, and sometimes it's a matter of going back to the drawing board and trying to find a solution that they're happy with, that you're also happy with. And so that can be a challenge. I mean, most of the time, you do find yourself that you please the clients and they do enjoy it, and that's a great benefit, is seeing their face light up when you've given them a logo that they just are in love with, and that's a great benefit. But it also can be tough when you can tell that they're not totally jiving with what you're giving them. And then I would say that just sometimes we are particularly busy right now at this time of year, and so that's a good problem to have. It can be challenging just because it can be stressful, and we've got 1,000 different projects running through the agency right now, and we're on deadline for all of them, so that can be, can be stressful, but it's a good kind of stress. And like I say, I think it's a good problem to have. You definitely would rather be busy than not. So I would, yeah, I definitely would. Even as an owner, certainly I think that, there are times that I do work longer days, but generally speaking, I think it would be very compatible with family life. I think that there's a great work-life balance. I mean, there never is really a true emergency in graphic design. It's never like a life or death situation, so you don't need to be on call 24/7 with the client where, some other careers you might literally have to drop everything and go do your work. And then, if you work, again, particularly in Colorado Springs, if you work at an agency or in an in-house position as a graphic designer, I would say work-life balance is pretty good. You work, your 40 hours a week probably for the most part, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. You do get weekends, normal standard weekends. And so, yeah, I would say generally it's pretty good balance. I would say the variety is my favorite aspect, that you literally get to work with so many different industries and get to learn a little bit about each of these different industries. It's like, really it's graphic design is about everything but graphic design. It's about whatever the client does, and you get to, kind of immerse yourself into their industry and organization. And so I really love that. I love the variety that comes with it. I love that moment when you are looking at a blank screen or a blank page and you just don't have any ideas, but then you just start working, and then ultimately it leads to a pretty cool discovery and pretty good work. And so I love that. I love the kind of the overcoming of the creative block. And then I love it when a client is thrilled with their work, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to deliver some good work for clients, and a lot of them really enjoy working with us. So I love that. That is a really good question. I wish that I could have great foresight as far as that's concerned. I think that it will continually evolve with technology. The way that technology is constantly growing, changing every single day, will have an effect on design, on the design industry. I think that there's a lot of stuff coming in like the AR, VR realm that will probably really cross over into graphic design and marketing and those types of careers. I hope that there will always be a place for sort of more traditional designers, which is what I am. I come from more of the fine art background, the pencil and paper background, and so I hope that there is always a place for us. I do think that it will continue to probably shift gradually to the tech side of things, but I don't think that print will really ever die. I think that magazines will always be around, and people will still want business cards, at least for the foreseeable future. So, but that's a really good question, and I wish I had a crystal ball to be able to tell, because you always have to be kind of rolling with the punches in this industry. You really do have to stay current and aware of what's out there to remain relevant. So I'll start with the second half of that. I think that while I don't have any regrets in my career path, I wish that I had just known that this was a career, that there was a career called graphic design when I was, your age, or even in college. I had heard of that term before, but I never really knew, what they did. And so I kind of wish that I had known. This is why this is like a great program that you're doing, so you can, interview professionals and have them talk about and enlighten high school students about these careers. So I just wish that I had known that it was a career to pursue. The advice that I would say is that you can totally do it if you want to, and should be proof positive of that I do not have formal training in it, did not go to school for it, but because of my curiosity, because of my passion, my interest in design, and that I was able to make a career out of it. And so I think that there's a lot of different ways to success, a lot of different pathways to success. There's no one tried and true way. And so, if you do work and you look at good work, that's a big part about it too, is look at good work. There's, get inspired, look at the greats that are out there, and you will improve as a designer, and you can absolutely become a graphic designer